This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My guest this hour is Stephen Myers. We're going to be talking to Stephen about his new book, The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, Why the Great Pyramid Was Built. And joining me now from his home in the beautiful state of Oregon is Stephen Myers. And Stephen, welcome back to the X-Zone. Long time no talk.
Yes, what a wonderful opportunity for me. I really appreciate it. I was on about a year ago.
My goodness. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Stephen Myers. I'm the author of 2 books now. Last year I published Lost Technologies of the Great Pyramid, and this year The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, and I'm the founder of a nonprofit foundation which studies how the Great Pyramid was built and why. And that foundation is called the Pharaoh's Pump Foundation, and our website is thepump.org.
Tell me, Stephen, what got you interested in the Great Pyramid?
Well, I was always interested in technology, amateur radio operator for a hobby, and electronics, that type of thing. But I've always enjoyed technology and history. So when I study World War II, I'm interested in like battleships and the range that planes can fly, that type of thing. But ultimately, if you like history and technology, your interest will focus on the Great Pyramid because it's a 45-story skyscraper built in ancient times that exhibits some very fascinating aspects of high technology.
Do you think that there was any outside assistance, and I mean from the technology of the day when it came to the building of the pyramid?
What I think is that in ancient times there were geniuses, and these geniuses envisioned a structure, the Great Pyramid, and they envisioned it, designed it, and built it with some very remarkable technologies. One is to cut the stones with extreme precision. They used an exceptional bonding agent to bond the casing stones together, but they also built it for a purpose, and that purpose was that it was infrastructure. It was an investment instead of built at a cost, and that infrastructure was to provide prosperity for their civilization, and it did that by the Great Pyramid being a water pump.
A water pump?
Yes.
You mean the entire use or the entire purpose for building the Great Pyramid was to make it a gigantic water pump?
That is our contention, yes.
What was it
Isn't that amazing?
You know, it makes a lot of sense, especially because, it's in the middle of the desert and they did flourish, the civilization did flourish. What was it that pointed you to this conclusion?
Well, I read a number of books about the Great Pyramid. Certainly, most people start out with traditional books that are written by Egyptologists.
Yes.
And they make some claims. They have some ideas about people dragging stones and people cutting stones by hand. And that's fine. That's wonderful. But I found out something about Egyptology that is not in any of their books, and that is that they do not accompany their assertions with any demonstrations. They've never made a casing stone to the precision that the original casing stones were made. It's never been done. The largest stones of the Great Pyramid are 70 tons, and Egyptology, the entire science, has never moved a 70-ton payload 1 inch in the manner they say it was moved.
Stephen, stand by. You and I have to take our commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Fascinating topic this hour, Exo Nation. We're talking about the Great Pyramid with my guest this hour, Stephen Myers. His new book is out, The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, Why the Great Pyramid Was Built. More with Stephen Myers on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our studios in Hamilton.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space, as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Exo Nation, Stephen Myers is our special guest this hour, www.thepump.org. And Stephen, I think we've left a lot of people with their jaw hanging over this commercial break because you said that you believe that the Great Pyramid was a pump. A water pump. And you were starting to explain how you came to this conclusion. I was wondering if you could continue.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, in my initial research, I realized that Egyptology has failed to really explain effectively how the Great Pyramid was built, even how the components were created. So to find out more about the Great Pyramid, I looked at alternative ideas like humming is how the stones were moved, or worshiping crystals and things like that. And then I read a book, a privately published book called Pharaoh's Pump by Edward Kunkel, who described the technical requirements to move massive amounts of stone in a production line amount of material to create the structure of the Great Pyramid. And he described how the passages and chambers in his book pumped water. And ultimately, myself and a number of associates have created a nonprofit foundation to further his research and also to redevelop some of the ancient technologies of the Great Pyramid for our modern but very troubled world.
On the front cover of your book, Stephen, you have the Great Pyramid showing, except it's not showing with stones, it's showing with $100 bills, and I was wondering what the significance of that was.
Well, there's a pyramid on the cover of my book that's covered with $100 bills, and that symbolically combines the pyramid shape with prosperity. And that's why the title of the book is The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, because we believe that in ancient times, the original builders created this water pump and were able to cheaply and efficiently pump water. And pumped water is what created a lot of prosperity. And in fact, it does in modern times. We pump our water a little differently than they did, but with hydroelectric dams, many of the hydroelectric dams in the west out here, western United States and Canada, the electricity is used to pump water for irrigation. So the pumping of water is a way that we could reuse the ancient technologies to provide an additional energy source for us to get off of oil and nuclear energy.
Now, you said a few minutes ago that Egyptologists have never been able to prove any of their claims. Am I correct?
Well, some very specific things they have not done. They haven't moved the largest stones 1 inch in the manner that they say they were moved. A casing stone has never been created by Egyptology in the last 200 years. Even one surface of one casing stone made to the same precision as the original ones, that's never been demonstrated, as well as many other things. They've never moved a heavy stone on or off a barge. They say most of the quarries, or many of them, were on the other side of the river. They've never moved a heavy stone around the corner of a spiral ramp. So there's a lot of technical issues that indicate that much of what they say is incorrect.
How do you know that what you're saying is correct, that the Great Pyramid was a pump? Have you been able to replicate this this action in order to prove your claim?
Actually, that's the purpose of the foundation that I am the founder of. This nonprofit foundation is working to redevelop the ancient technologies that were created by geniuses in ancient times and use them same technologies.
All right, but answer my question. Have you been able to duplicate?
Nope.
No. So
we have nothing to show the public.
So my question is,
fully functional operational pump.
My question is at this time then is, how are your claims any different than the claims that you're objecting to being made by Egyptologists?
Oh, excellent question. One of the differences is we are just an emerging type of research and understanding of the Great Pyramid. We're just getting started. And we are, like I say, developing these technologies. Egyptology has been a formal science for 200 years, and they've never demonstrated those things that they say were done, like moving the stones, using back muscles, and also creating precision-cut stonework by hand.
Now,
the difference between our foundation and Egyptology is this. Egyptology is the richest science in the world. They have museums, they have artifacts, and everything else. Yet they refuse to provide demonstrative evidence for their claims. That's the difference between Egyptology and my foundation.
All right. Now, how much time did you spend at the Great Pyramid in order to work on your theory?
On-site research, we were there for 2 weeks.
So you came up with this theory in 2 weeks?
Oh, no. No, there's been a lot of research that's being done by Edward Kunkel and also myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite a bit longer than 2 weeks, that's for sure.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you were only there for 2 weeks, where Egyptologists have been there for hundreds of years.
Yes, they have, and they have a theory.
Mm-hmm.
They say that.
But they also have
by hand.
They also have artifacts.
They have some artifacts that are evidence,
mm-hmm.
but that evidence is given an interpretation by Egyptologists. There's other people that have different interpretations of that same evidence. The extreme precision is evidence. My interpretation is that it wasn't done by hand.
How was it done?
And Egyptologists have to have an interpretation that it was done by hand.
So how do you
think that they would want to substantiate their claims using the scientific method?
All right. So how do you say that these massive stones were cut? How do you say these massive stones were moved?
Well, I say that they were moved on barges using water locks, the same way that children in the 1830s were used to move heavy stones using the Erie Canal and that type of thing. In the Erie Canal, it was a 4.5-foot deep ditch, but the payload on the barges were 70 tons. And children used guided horses that pulled these barges along towpaths. The horse was on the towpath and the barge was in the canal.
All right, but to my knowledge, there are no pyramids along the Erie Canal. So why is there a pyramid in Egypt and not near the Erie Canal?
Oh well, there's canals around the pyramids in that area. There's a wall around that used to be around the Great Pyramid. And Egyptologists feel that was for some sacred purpose, but we feel that that wall impounded water, and that the Great Pyramid was like an island in a small lake.
So what do you think?
That is all described in both of my books.
All right. So what do you think the actual purpose of the pyramid is then?
The purpose that it served the original builders was to pump water. And that pumped water was probably used for irrigation, to power heavy machinery, for experimental purposes. For possibly creating compressed air, and other purposes. I see the Giza Plateau more as an industrial park than some sort of a graveyard.
If this was the case, that the pyramid was successfully used as a pump and as a compressor and so on and so forth, how come this technology never caught on around the world?
Well, there's several possibilities, but I appreciate that question. One possibility is that the pump broke, if you will. The ceiling stones in the ceiling of the King's Chamber are broken, and that would affect how the Great Pyramid water pump operated. Another possibility is that the Great Pyramid was built before the last catastrophe, possibly the biblical flood or before the last ice age. And then that ice age destroyed that civilization and the knowledge of how to operate the Great Pyramid water pump.
But if the Great Pyramid was a water pump, why would the flood change anything?
Well, if there was a biblical flood, it would have destroyed the whole earth. And if there was an ice age, it would have probably destroyed the civilization that used the Great Pyramid water pump.
Is there any evidence that there was an ice age during the time of the Great Pyramid?
Well, that's a two-edged sword. When is the time of the Great Pyramid? Modern Egyptologists say it was about 4,500 years ago, but they can't even create a single casing stone. They can't even get one stone right.
All right, stand by. We've got to take our commercial break with our news. Stephen, stand by, please. Stephen, stand by. We've got to take our commercial break with the news. The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine. Why the Great Pyramid was built? Still a good question. www.thepump.org. Stephen Myers is the author. He's our guest this hour. And we'll continue this interesting conversation about the Great Pyramid on the other side of the news break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. Don't go.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Explanation, Stephen Myers is our special guest. He's the author of The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, Why the Great Pyramid Was Built. His website is www.thepump.org. Stephen, has there been anything that you've seen in the halls of antiquity or museums that would lend itself to your theory?
Yes. Yeah, well, at the Great Pyramid, many of the passages and chambers are built with extreme precision. Most of them, Queen's Chamber, King's Chamber, and the Grand Gallery, are built to be air and water tight. The stones are placed together with extreme precision, and they have a bonding agent between them. We think that was not to keep the pharaoh's soul from leaking out, but that was because it was a functioning machine. These chambers had to be air and water tight. Also, the early researchers like Flanders Petrie found what he called Nile earth in the Great Pyramid. In other words, he found sediment inside the Great Pyramid. That's another wonderful evidence of water inside the Great Pyramid. And just a whole host of things. The complexity of the Great Pyramid lends itself more to be a machine than some sort of a place to put the pharaoh's carcass type of thing. So there's a whole host of interpretations of the same evidence that everyone has that lends itself to the Great Pyramid being infrastructure for the civilization that built it.
Once again, my question would be, have you seen anything in museums that would lead you to believe, or lead anyone to believe, that your theory is right and Egyptology is wrong?
Like, what do you mean? What would I see in a museum?
Well, for example, you go to a museum, you see sarcophaguses. You see the pottery that has been retrieved from the pyramids and tombs. You see see relics of antiquity. In any of these relics, in any of the hieroglyphics, in any of the
no
writings,
hieroglyphics in the Great Pyramid.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking in general in museums.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there's speculation that the Great Pyramid was not built by the Egyptian culture of the pharaohs. That the Great Pyramid was built much earlier, similar to Robert Schoch says that the Sphinx, which is about 100 yards from the Great Pyramid, was probably built much earlier than traditional Egyptologists say. So,
all right, if we're looking at the Great Pyramid as being a water pump, within the walls of the Great Pyramid, has there been any any evidence of a machine or a mechanism that had been used to pump
certainly.
water?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they have, inside the Great Pyramid, there are slots that have sliding stones, and that's evidence. We interpret that evidence to be, the sliding stones to be part of valves, that type of thing. So that's a type of evidence that indicates that it was used as a water pump.
And what do the members of the Egyptology community say those sliding stones are?
Oh, they think that long open passages and these sliding stones are somehow able to keep tomb robbers out of the Great Pyramid, and that they were ineffective.
Okay, so what makes you think you're right and they're wrong?
It's not about what I think. It's about what the people that read the book think. It's about what people that do their own research think. I'm just like another doctor. I'm offering an opinion, just like Egyptologists offer an opinion of their interpretation of the direct physical evidence. And it's for people themselves to take that opinion that I have and to see if it fits the direct physical evidence, if it makes sense, that type of thing. That's why there's so much controversy about the Great Pyramid.
But at the end of the day,
demonstrate how it was done.
At the end of the day, is it going to make a difference in anybody's life on what the Great Pyramid was, whether it's a water pump or whether it's a tomb?
That's the best question you've asked me. My contention is yes, that we think that the Great Pyramid exhibits some very ancient but high technologies that we can use in modern times. That if we can redevelop this ancient method that was used to pump water, then we can pump water more cheaply and more efficiently. Instead of damming the rivers to use hydroelectric dams to create electricity, we can use the pumped water from the technology of the Great Pyramid, which is much more energy efficient and cleaner for the environment and that type of thing.
But you don't know what that technology was.
Our energy costs and create prosperity.
All right, but you don't know what the technology was, so how do you know it even exists? And if it does exist, how do you know for a fact it's going to be cheaper than the existing hydroelectric dams that we have now?
That's our contention, and that's.
But what do you base what do you base your contention on?
Well, we base it on our understanding of the Great Pyramid. The book itself is well illustrated and describes how each passage and chamber is used to be a functioning water pumping system. And we want to redevelop that technology and use it in our modern world.
So let me ask you this. Why don't you just create a computer model and see if it works?
Actually, we have some animated images and that type of thing.
No, but do you actually have a computer-generated model that could give you a definitive yes or no?
We do not.
Why not?
Because we believe that it's based on some unusual technologies that aren't being used right now. Like we believe that there's part of the water pumping system is to develop hydrogen in a very unusual way. It's different technology than what we have now.
Now, what would the Egyptians need hydrogen for?
That it's better, and that's what the foundation is for, is to redevelop this ancient technology, and we're working on that.
All right, but tell me, what would the Egyptians need hydrogen for?
What would the Egyptians need hydrogen for?
Yeah.
We believe that hydrogen, in the book it describes this in detail, hydrogen was used to create a vacuum. And vacuum, we feel, was created in the upper end of the Grand Gallery, which helped draw water up that chamber. And that's part of how the Great Pyramid was used as a water pump, which is described in the book.
Okay, now, Egypt is quite a big country, right?
Yeah, it is.
It was what would you say, 95% desert?
Oh, at least. It is now, yes.
All right. Hypothetically, if the Great Pyramid was in fact a water pump, isn't it logical to believe that if it was a water pump, it was successful where it is, that they would build other pyramids that would be water pumps as well to irrigate the desert as well?
You know, that's a good speculation to wonder about. But I know this: in modern times, in the Valley of the Nile, there's a great big structure that's built to pump water. That big structure is called the High Aswan Dam. In ancient times, people in the Valley of the Nile built a great big structure called the Great Pyramid, and we feel that it was used also as infrastructure to pump water.
But the Great Pyramid doesn't block water to create a dam, to create irrigation.
No, yeah. Now you're talking. It's used in an entirely different manner. The technology of the Great Pyramid is much different, and I feel superior to the technology we use. We use the High Aswan Dam stops the yearly flood of the Nile, and much of the electricity of the High Aswan Dam is now used to create fertilizer, to fertilize what once was the richest soil in the world. So it's kind of interesting.
All right, but once again, if the Great Pyramid was as successful as your foundation believes it was, and the Egyptians certainly did trading around the world prior to Christopher Columbus, we know this for a fact, would not they have traded and used this technology in other areas?
I'm not sure that the Great Pyramid was built in the time of the pharaohs. I know that there's a great amount of controversy as to when the Great Pyramid was built. People can debate that all they want, but what we want to understand is how these great big heavy stones were moved from point A to point B, and why that effort was done. And we feel that the Great Pyramid was built using water locks and stones on barges, and the purpose of this structure was to be infrastructure, a water pump, to provide prosperity for the civilization that built it. But I don't know, and I do not think that the Great Pyramid was built 4,500 years ago, probably much earlier.
Is there any historical foundation to substantiate your claims?
Yes.
What are they?
That would be our foundation.
No. I mean historical. Your foundation is new. It doesn't go back to antiquity.
Oh, you mean...
history.
Oh, okay, yeah. Probably there was a foundation of the engineers that built the Great Pyramid that would substantiate our contention. But they're gone now.
There is no recorded history.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Isn't that a little strange?
Well, there's a lot of things that are strange about the Great Pyramid. There's a whole group of people that say extreme precision was created by hand. I think that's strange.
Why?
I know if you go to a high school machine shop and tell them you want to create extreme precision by hand, then they would probably give you an F. But if you go to a university and say, well, extreme precision was created by hand, then you could get your doctoral thesis on that.
But when we look at the other structures that were created before the invention of the great tooling devices that we have now, they're very perplexing and keep the world at awe. I can think of, let's just take a look at Stonehenge. It's not as exact as the Great Pyramids, but that is a marvel as well. Then we can look at,
it is a marvel.
And then we can look at the great architecture of the early churches. So why does this have to be anything different than a monument to the pharaohs of the time?
Well, there's some people that actually say that that's true, but there's, like I say, there's a lot of controversy. There's different ideas, and what our idea about the Great Pyramid is that we give the original builders honor and glory to their great masterpiece of high technology.
All right, let me ask you.
That high technology can be used in our modern times.
All right, let me ask you this: who were the builders that you're honoring?
That is beyond the scope of our research. Wait
a sec. Hold on here. You're giving.
We're not studying. We're not researching when it was built or who built it, but we are researching how it was built and why.
But wouldn't it make sense to understand who the builders were in order to get a better understanding of the society that they were living in, the tools that they had available to them at the time, instead of just saying, okay, wow, congratulations, guys, on a great job done, but we don't know who you are, what you did, or anything about you, but congratulations on your great job.
Well, there's not a lot of evidence as to available about who built it and everything else. But no, we're not interested in that. I know that if someone has a car wreck and an ambulance comes, it doesn't matter the names of the people that built the ambulance. What you want is what the ambulance can do for you. And our civilization now is in a wreck, if you will, with high energy costs and certainly geopolitical issues with energy, with us, the United States, being in 2 wars. So I think that the Great Pyramid is like an ambulance that has a technology that if we can redevelop, it will help us reduce our dependency on oil and also nuclear energy.
All righty. We'll take our final break. We'll be back on the other side. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. And more about the Great Pyramid Pump on the other side of this break.
In over 36 years in law enforcement, I've learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, extraterrestrials, and UFOs, how we gather that evidence of their existence, preserve that same evidence, and present it to a court of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Come with me on a journey that seeks to prove with undisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Join me, Larry Lawson, host of the Paranormal Stakeout, coming to the X Zone Broadcast Network. Check out the broadcast schedule for Paranormal Stakeout with yours truly, Larry Lawson, at www.xzbn.net. For more information about me, my travels, and my team, check out our website at www.paranormalfbi.com or join us on Facebook at Florida Bureau of Paranormal.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Stephen Myers is our guest this hour, X Zone Nation, the Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine. Why the Great Pyramid was built. His website is thepump.org. Over the commercial break, I was just thinking about the Coral Castle in Florida, and that's a mysterious structure itself. The pieces of coral are very big, they're very heavy, and yet one man did all that. Have you ever thought of going down there to see how this was done without water?
Yeah, I'm over here in Oregon, and that's across the United States. But yeah, that's one of my goals in life is to go visit the Coral Castle. Certainly, there's some mystery about how that was accomplished.
And then there's the Aztec pyramids in Mexico. Is there any Mexican archaeological organization that says that their pyramids, which are in very lush areas, were also used as water pumps?
Not to my knowledge. Our focus is on the Great Pyramid. Many of those pyramids were built from stone rubble.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about what the other pyramids were. This is about what the Great Pyramid was. And if people want to find out a new understanding to the ancient mysteries of the Great Pyramid, I would suggest that they read my book about why the Great Pyramid was built.
All right, Stephen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself, and we look forward to the next time you join us here in the X Zone.
Well, thank you, Rob, very much for this opportunity.
All right, you take care now. Stephen Myers is his name. The name of his book is The Great Pyramid Prosperity Machine, Why the Great Pyramid Was Built. I don't know about this one, X-Zone Nation. There's no proof to substantiate any of the claims. They have a theory that cannot be backed by anything except their own belief. Other pyramids around the world weren't used for pumps, so why just this one? And if this was a successful project, why didn't the Egyptians put more of these around and share the technology with the countries that they traded with? Makes no sense to me. Anyway, check it out yourself, www.thepump.org. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. I want to thank everyone around the world for listening, no matter where you are. If you're in your car, I hope you pull over to chat with us online at xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. That's our MSN address. And, of course, our very popular website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. You can always listen to the archives at www.xzonepodcast.com. So until tomorrow night, as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone, take care of each other if you can. Help somebody out who needs a hand in these very hard times without building a water pump. Dip into your pocket, check your pantries, see if there's any clothes you don't need anymore. You know, winter's coming. People will be needing to be kept warm. So do whatever you can. So until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. Always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. My name is